so, I'll be down to 1 territory. It's an interesting move by Nathaka if there's not a third WMD up there. There's the third. That WMD match has me down to 1 territory. You can play at most 1 WMD match per side in a given game of Warsaken Blitz. A pair of intel cards with a threatening stuff bounced from my war zone. My turn. 4. Okay, so I can play the third building card, go back for weather, get an extra turn. We'll go back for the geomagnetic disturbance. More Northern Lights. And with that spot, that 4th spot, my war zone open. Geomagnetic disturbance. I probably should have brought back a different third card. Maybe do it. I don't think there were any one-offs in there, so maybe not. Anyway, geomagnetic disturbance. I don't want the +3 actions. I want the +1 turn. Extra turn. 5. All right, didn't get the WMD match I was looking for. But, okay, let's see. Okay. Let's play Specialist Chloe Moore.
Select target.
This force match will eliminate a second territory for Nathaka, leaving only 2 remaining. The spot here where I can get an extra turn with a cloud cover. Maybe play 2 of the ZS Wolves and or 2 of the Azar Cyruses. Will only be one or the other, really. Let's see. So I wouldn't want to play all 3. At some point, I've got to say, well, I can't wait forever for that WMD trio. I'm hoping it'll show up. Anyway, I'll go ahead with the cloud cover. +1 turn. Azar Cyrus, the Fabricator. I'll be careful to only play 2 of these. Because with my opponent down to 2 territories remaining, if I can roll a 4 or higher and get a WMD match, then I'd be able to win the match right here. But if I use the force now, it would take my opponent down to 1 territory, and it would be much less effective. And yeah, that might be what I have to do if I don't get a WMD match. So, cognizant of all that. Oh, let's see. 1 action to go for the turn. It never hurts to have weather out there in case you need some luck on your side there at the end. Sometimes weather will bail you out. Here we go. Extra turn. 2. I'll play the second Blinding Sandstorm. I'll pass up the last action and then the turn. Taking on Nathaka here in Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. Friday afternoon here in Nashville. I know it's already Saturday for some of you. Roll a 6 here for Nathaka, who just needs 2 more force matches to beat me. With 20 cards and 6 actions here. So there's intel. I'll probably bounce 1 each of the cards in my war zone. That would be my guess. Breaking up those pairs. Although it might not matter. Although if it didn't matter, we would just see force, and that would be the match, I think. There's 1 force match. It's going to give me a compromised lead, or Nathaka will just need 1 more to get the win.
Compromised.
Pair of building cards. But that's it for the turn. Okay. My turn. 1. Oh, finally got it, but a bit too little too late with that, huh? Or maybe not. Maybe I'll get lucky and have another roll, but it's just not all that likely. Let's see. So I can, well... Okay, I'll play a second Azar Cyrus. And that'll end my turn. Nathaka just needs one more force match to get the win. It's a roll of 1. Is there a third Nameless Soldier? Is there a third Cheetah Z series? There's the third building card. No, instead it's a weather, so I am going to get another roll. Look at this. 5. And... I have that Roman's prototype out there. I believe I'll get the win right here. My goodness. What a game. WMD match. Captured leader.
Select target.
That WMD match will eliminate Nathaka's 2 remaining territories.
Compromised.
2 actions to go for the turn. With a compromised leader, I just need a force match. Roman's prototype for the win.
Select target. Select target.
Wow. That was a hard fight there. It's fortunate to get that lucky roll when I needed at the end. Good game, Nathaka.
Warsaken.
So here we go, taking on UXOOU. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. It's really hard to complain about that. 3 pair. Nice variety keep. This is the Dusk Magma game match that I'm using today with this deck. Taking on UXOOU. It's got that dark die with a dark... In that case, it was the number 1, which is represented by the Warsaken logo. It's that dark logo on that dark gray background. Force card play by UXOOU. My turn. 1. All right, well, play a weather card. Freezing Rainstorm. That's it for the turn. UXOOU with a roll of 5. We'll be giving away another Warsaken wheel spin coming up in our next hour. Morale. Interesting. So a morale match takes me from 20 down to 14. If that hits 0, if your morale hits 0, you have a compromised leader at that point in Warsaken Blitz. Let's see how that's -5 morale. That's dangerous. More morale. Because that's another way you can lose morale, is that whatever territory that an opponent eliminates, the amount of that morale that's designated on the card is taken away. 5. All right, so I have a trio of A7 axe cards, so that'll be a force match.
Select target.
This force match will allow me to eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Unreal. Port of Carmersani. Eliminate. 2 actions to go for the turn. And go ahead and play that second Freezing Rainstorm. Only 1 action to go for the turn. I'll pass up that last action in the turn. And if UXOOU had an intel match waiting and I had a 3rd card out there, we're making an easier target. On the flip side, intel could be used to force me to discard. Instead, there's morale. They need to make it. It doesn't really help things to make it darker when the turn ends after morale is played. That might be something to. It doesn't happen that much, but see, I'm down to 8. I rolled a 1, so I'm not really in a good spot here. So 1 more morale match, I'd be down to 2. The bigger concern, I had to play the one with the -5. Had to do that. So a WMD could give me a compromised leader if my opponent picks the right ones. So I hope that doesn't happen. All I can do right now is hope, because I don't have much else I can play as far as this turn goes. Pass it the action, end the turn. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv, taking on UXWLU, roll of 1. Second morale card. My turn. 5. Alright, well at least get an extra turn out of it. Play a third freezing rainstorm. Extra turn. So a wide open war zone for me. 4 actions to go for the turn with an extra turn to come. Now let's put some intel out there, plant a device. 2 of those. 3 spots open in my war zone. 2 actions to go for the turn. Let's go with the H5 dropship. 4 cards. And now my extra turn. 6. I can play building cards, go back for weather, play that and get an extra turn. I think that's the best option of although you never want to do this, don't always look before you leap. Make sure that you know what you're going back for. Even just takes a moment to peek at. Okay, I'm going back for the freezing rainstorms, and I'll play those and get an extra turn. And this little side button here brings them all back at once. But notice it's not going to be, are you sure? It just does it. So be careful with this in the game. See, boom. Not messing around. Luckily for me, with that roll of 6, I have 3 actions remaining for the turn, so I can play the freezing rainstorm again. Another extra turn. 3. More building cards. That. H5 dropship.
Select target.
That's a force match. That force match will eliminate a second territory for my opponent. Scrapyard. Eliminated. Remember that my morale's down to 8, so this is misleading with all this territory intact. Doesn't mean I'm in a position of power here. So I could go a couple different directions with this. I almost think it'd be better to put out a pair that I don't have a third of. Like the DX8. Send out the robot dogs with laser beams. On fire! That's it for my turn. Taking on UXWLU, who rolls a 1. No play. My turn. 1. Play a weather card. Fire in the fields. That's it for my turn. It's a roll of 5 for UXWLU. Morale. Well, I'm down to 8 morale. A morale match would take me down to 2 remaining. And the big concern is a WMD, because that could single-handedly give me a compromised leader. That's it for the turn. However, once you have a compromised leader, the only way your opponent can eliminate it is with a force match. So there's that to consider as well. My turn. 6. All right, let's see. I can give my opponent a compromised leader. I can go back for weather, but I don't know. So I've got a third fire in the... No, that's only a second fire in the field. That's why he's not doing the victory dance for me. Okay, let's go ahead and go with DX8. Let's do it. Can't wait forever for a WMD match.
Select target.
So we'll leave my opponent with 1 territory remaining. 5 actions to go for the turn. Agent Zera. This is going to be a force match that will eliminate the last remaining territory for my opponent. Give my opponent a compromised leader.
Select target. Compromised.
So I need 1 more force match to get the win. I don't have that at the moment. Could put 2 building cards out there, but I think that's asking for trouble to a degree. So instead, if I roll a 6 for the next turn, then I've got the win. So at least I have that in hand if I don't put it out there. Let's see. I can just go with 2 cloud covers, play a fire in the fields and something else. And make sure I don't have any weathers in here that I'm forgetting about. I think this is all 3s. There's no intel business in there. All right, so let's just play a second fire in the fields. And then I'll play 1 cloud cover. That might come. You never know. It sometimes comes into play even when you think it might not. Because I still have that 4th spot, my war zone open, even with a cloud cover here. So it works, I think. We'll see. That's it for my turn. But remember, I'm down to 8 as far as my morale. 2 sets of 2 morale cards opposite me. Those can take away 6 per punch. Roll a 6. This could do it. Taking on UXOOU. Force card. There's a force match. So depending on which territory, not surprised, one with the -5 morale. It's going to take me down to 3. So now a force match would give me a compromised leader by way of morale. Ditto for if a morale match happens up here. The difference is once I've got a compromised leader, those morale cards aren't of any benefit. Look at that pullback there. 1. Intel. That ends the turn. My turn. 4. Okay. Cloud cover. Maybe 1 short. If I do the +3 actions, I'd be 1 short. What would I have? Okay, let's think about this. We'll go extra turn. Two actions to go for this turn. Let's put the Z-27 Tigers out there. Or if I put the guard towers out there, then if I roll a 4 or higher, I've got the win for sure. I don't know. Oof. Guard towers. Extra turn. Oh, and it's not going to let me click. Oh, this bug drives me up the wall. F5. Luckily, it can be fixed very quickly. It just tends to take the drama out of the moment.
Leader compromised.
Here we go. 2. Guard tower. Bring back the drop ships. 1 action to go for the turn. I can play 1 of the 4 drop ships here. Even if it were to be bounced, I still have 3 more, but I might not get another roll. Roll a 5 here for UXOOU. I'm down to 3 morale. A force match or morale match would give me a compromise later. 21 cards and 5 actions for my opponent. There's a morale match. Here we go.
Leader compromised.
There's the force match for the win. All right, good game. UXOOU victorious.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Meowsy. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. Cats of different languages. Well, if I would imagine, because a lot of that is the cat finding ways to communicate with people, learning in different ways. Okay, this is unusual to have a 3 building, but the problem is these are so many building cards here. I have nothing I could do with it early. I'd be pretty hamstrung. So this breaks my normal rule. I normally say if I have a pair of force cards, I go with it. But I don't know about this. You know what? That's the rule, though. Let's stick with it. Let's see what happens. Got the Blood Fungus game mat, so we got that to enjoy for this start right here. Okay, well, we'll put out a pair of T15 Jameson haulers. Let's see, 3 spots open my war zone. I'm going to stick with what I have there, not knowing what type of deck that Meowsy might have, so pass up that remaining action in the turn. And particularly with this game mat, I like having it where you can get the accessories to match. I've got this is the one where it doesn't go with the purple I normally have with my brand color, since it tends to be a better fit here, the white here with the red on the die. Kind of way to show off some stuff while not straying too much from being on brand, whatever that means, in a live stream. 5. All right, well, I can go 2 sets of 2 weather. Play a pair of ideal conditions. 2 spots open my war zone, 3 actions to go for the turn. Pair of geomagnetic disturbance cards. Savage escalation weather. Really prefer to keep that 4th spot in my war zone open as much as possible, and now is no exception to that. So we'll pass up that last action in the turn. Roll a 5. There's a force match. There's a Harvey Dent Crazy Cat. 3 actions to go for the turn. Weather cards. And then a force card to end the turn. My turn. 6. All right, here we go. We'll get to that in a moment. I'm curious about this weather right here. Air pollution. That's a new Savage Escalation. I don't think I've seen this in play yet in a match here. It's cool to see some of these Savage Escalations. They start to show up. I need to go through some of these decks and put in some of the... Because there's some where I have 2 or 3, and then as I open more of these loot packs, I end up getting to the 4 mark or finding one-offs on the secondary. Ways to put it together for options with decks here in Warsaken Blitz, which just gives me even more variety for live streaming. It's a positive. Also positive. Extra turn. 5 actions to go for this turn. We're going to play that 3rd T15 Jameson hauler. That's a force match which will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. The Brotherland Field, Savage Escalation, on fire. Eliminate. Four actions to go for the turn. I can go back for weather or force. And I think I'll go back for weather. I can't play it this turn, but now I've got it. I mean, I could play it. It'd be very risky. Be an obvious target, but a huge target on it. So instead of that, let's play an A9 Hammerhead, one of my favorites from set 1, Genesis of Conflict. But only 1 action, so only 1 A9 Hammerhead. Extra turn. 3. Oh, I can play the weather and get another extra turn. So I'll do that. Extra turn. 1. They're like, 1, we're not happy about giving you that 1. You've had too many rolls, buddy. So just 1 action to go for the turn. Let's play that second A9 Hammerhead. That'll end my turn. But finally for Meowsy, a roll. Let's roll 2. So a pair of force cards. My turn. 5. So I have a force match with Bella Ivanova. So I'll play that and then play the 2 Fire in the Fields weather cards. But first things first, Bella Ivanova on fire. She's focused.
Select
So that's a force match, which will eliminate the second territory for my opponent, leaving only 2 remaining. Ruins of the Brotherland. Eliminated. All right, 2 spots open by Warzone. 2 actions to go for the turn. We'll go fire in the fields. That's it for my turn. Meowsy with a roll of 6. So there's a force match. That's going to eliminate a second territory for me. We're both going to be down to 2 territories remaining. 5 actions to go for the turn. Sergeant Randwolf Betzer? I don't think I have any of these cards. Wow, look at that. Whoa. And then a WMD pair and a weather pair. 4 wide and 2 deep in the war zone for Meowsy. But it's my turn. 4. All right. Of course, they all show up in bunches like this. The problem, though, is I don't have another... I'm going to have to go extra turn as opposed to going plus 3 actions. I've had 1 more force match. That would be enough, but it's not, because I don't have it. So let's go ahead first with the WMD. That's a WMD match. That will eliminate my opponent's final 2 territories, giving my opponent a compromised leader.
Compromised.
1 action to go for the turn. I'll play this ideal conditions. Extra turn. I just need to get a force match to get the win. It's a 1. Two spots open in my war zone. All that menagerie on the other side. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have that force match before and rolled low enough here where it's not going to be... Even if I did, I couldn't do anything with it this turn other than just playing 1. So instead, we'll go Rummage, which might look like a force card with the tanks, but it's not. It's Intel. Gotta look for the insignia, the emblem. And that's it for my turn. So I'm taking on Meowsy as a compromised leader, but I'm down to 2 territories. Roll 2. But if one of those 2 is a WMD match, that would give me a compromised leader, because that would eliminate my last 2 territories. No play. Wow. I need a force match. Let's see. What do we have? 5. I'm going to get it right here. A9 Hammerhead for the win.
Select target. Leader eliminated. Victory.
All right. Good game, Meowsy.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Bulk the Bear. All right, so I have my notes caught up. And I had that half second of false hope. You glance at a bunch of night vision cards in the same hand, or same starting 8 in this case. Unfortunately for me, that false hope dissipated since it was false. Nothing matches for even a pair. So we'll take a mulligan. We'll reshuffle my arsenal, my deck of 60, and deal me 8 cards once again. Well, I can work with that. You really don't want to use that second mulligan unless you absolutely have to. That +1 card penalty is not any fun, and there's no guarantee you're going to get anything better than what you have. And you're stuck with it. This, 2 sets of 2, keep. And I get to go first. Lucky me. 1. This is the base entrance game mat. I have a different one of these base entrance game mats up on my prize wheel. I was looking that up earlier. Playing Intel assassination attempt. Roll of 5 here for Bulk the Bear. So there's a weather match. That means an extra turn for my opponent. A force card. And then another force card. Extra turn, roll of 6. So a second nameless soldier. One more would make a match. Pair of weather cards. Fire in the fields. I'll pull back on the XTT. 2 actions to go for the turn. And it makes sense to do that. I'm going to pull back 1 that's just in the way. Make room for something where you have a pair. 3 wide and 2 deep. My turn. 6. All right, nothing makes a match for me. Play that second assassination attempt. So an intel pair in my war zone. 5 actions to go for the turn. 3 spots open in my war zone. We'll go freezing rainstorm. There are weather cards here. 3 actions to go for the turn. 2 spots open in my war zone. There are blinding sandstorms. I really value keeping that 4th spot in my war zone open as much as possible. So while there are certain options here, I'm going to forego them. Pass it the last action in the turn. Again, as I've mentioned, something players tend to learn as they get more experience playing Blitz is the value of not necessarily using all of your actions in a given turn. Anything you put in that war zone of yours can be potentially targeted by an opponent with intel. There's a force match. That force match eliminates one of my territories. I'm down to 3. My turn. 2. Tough one. Nothing makes a match. I really want to keep that 4th spot in my war zone open. I could put... Even if I had 4 actions, I don't know if pulling back the intel to play weather is the play to make there. I don't know. Whatever the case, I'll pass up those 2 actions and end the turn. Roll 2. Taking on Bulk the Bear here in Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. Pair of intel cards. So I was talking about the dangers of putting cards out there in your war zone. They could get targeted. Of course, I've got a pair of intel cards out there as well, so something for both sides to consider. As always in this very entertaining game. Roll a 6. All right, so I'll have a weather match there with a terrifying storm. And I'll take the extra turn in a moment. 3 actions to go for the turn. You see why I value keeping that 4th spot in the war zone open. I could go... Let's just do this first. Since I've got the extra turn pending, I'll be okay with the Max Harpers. Let's bounce. There's a few options in this game when it comes to an intel match, and I chose to bounce 3. So I'm going to go 1 of each. With the 3 sets of 2 in my opponent's war zone. Nameless soldier. Search algorithm. Fire in the fields. Bounce. So those cards go to my opponent's discard pile. 2 actions to go for the turn, with an extra turn to come. Play 2 of these Max Harper Dealer Force cards. Extra turn. Even if I roll a 1, got a match there. So roll a 6. Freezing rainstorm. We'll go with an extra turn. We'll get to that. 3rd, Max Harper. This will be a force match. That force match will allow me to eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Four actions to go for the turn. And go back for intel, force, or weather. I think the play, though, is... Let's see. I got a geomagnetic. Is there another... Just haven't played one of those yet, right? Trying to see if I had any one-off sitting up here that might be an option. Let's go get some weather. Advanced weather station. Bring back the freezing rainstorm. One action for the turn. Don't want to put that out there since that would be obvious target for my opponent. Have a coin flip as far as if I wanted to put anything with any of these three pairs of force cards out there. Double O Black Blade. We'll put one of those out there. Extra turn. 1. Really should have played the Freezing Rainstorm there. I didn't play that one, even though it worked out as it turns out. Another Double O Black Blade. The slow road. That ends the turn. Roll of 2. Taking on Bulk the Bear. Warsaken Blitz NashvilleLou Liv. Taking on Bulk the Bear, who does a pullback and that intel. Remember, I went through and did some bouncing, so a pair of pullbacks there. You can see how a well-timed intel can really cause problems for your opponent. My turn. 2. Well, I put one Freezing Rainstorm out there, and then still have 3 in hand, so if it got bounced, I'd be okay. Let's go ahead and play the Double O Black Blade. That'll be another force match. That force match will eliminate a second territory for my opponent, leaving only 2 remaining. One action for the turn. Freezing Rainstorm. That's it for my turn. And it's not going to let me click, so let's wait and see what my opponent rolled. 6. Uh-oh. I'll hit F5 on my app, so it'll refresh that. Take me back to where I was. Even though it's only like a 2-second wait, it's like a 2-second wait. Sometimes there's a WMD match. Sometimes you might miss what your opponent rolled, which is why I wait when that happens. And I'm sure they're working to get that fixed because it's not fun. But you can't dodge it when I'm live here. But this game's UI is remarkably intuitive for something that's in beta form. Remember, this is still the beta version of this game, of Blitz. The full version's still being worked on. There's so much to come with Warsaken. It's gonna be so much fun. I love this game. I love live streaming this game. You'd think I'd be sick of it by now, but I'm not. I have 0 as far as any sort of, oh well, time to make the donuts. It never feels like that. It's always fun. Hard work is being out digging ditches in 90-degree weather in the summertime in the greater Nashville area. I've done that before. So anytime I complain about things, that's with that caveat in mind. Bulk the Bear with a force match. I've got to compromise later.
Compromised.
That means Bulk the Bear only needs 1 more force match to bait me. My turn. 4. All right. Kind of blundered the way I played that before, but I think it may bail me out. I really need to get a WMD match if I can. So we'll go Blinding Sandstorm. Extra turn. I'm going to play this one a little bit differently. I'm going to play 2 Freezing Rainstorms, but only 2. So I don't want to activate it just yet. I'm in a situation where I need a +3 actions. I'd rather know it. Oh, it's not let me click again? All right, well, I'll hit F5. That's unusual. Normally, if you hit F5, you're good for a little bit.
Leader compromised.
The computer questioning my gameplay. And I'll play a pair of Ken shows. Only 2 actions to go for the turn, so, well, I'll be careful about it. I had before just presumed I didn't have one out there. It's not. Oh, it's doing it again to me. What is this, a rib? F5 again. All right, well, the game really doesn't care for my gameplay, it seems. But let's go with... let's not mess it up. I'm going to get thrown off if I'm not careful here. I'm going to keep F5 and it's throwing me off. Ken show. Extra turn. 2. Got the WMD match. Okay, let's think about this for a moment. Ken show. So I need 4 actions essentially. Play a freezing rainstorm. Let's think about this. Play 1 freezing rainstorm. Or do I go plus 3 actions with the rainstorm? Play the weather. Okay, let's see. Freezing rainstorm, but play one of these here. I'm going to go plus 3 actions here, I think. I think that's the move. Oh, it's not me. Click. What in the world's going on with this? Why you gotta treat me like this? Come on.
Leader compromised.
Let's get the plus 3 actions. I'm gonna get the win right here after all. I just had to think it through a little bit. WMD match.
Select target.
It's gonna give my opponent a compromise later.
Compromised.
Ken show for the win.
Select target.
All right, good game, Bulk the Bear. It doesn't get much closer than that. My goodness. I mean, look at that. Our collective war zones are almost empty. Both had compromise leaders. Caught a break there at the end. Good game.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Kron. Many thanks to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio, who makes most of that outstanding background music that I'm able to use. All you have to do is give credit. Easy enough for me. NashvilleLou.com/music has full music attribution information for anybody interested in that. Well, the only pair I have are building cards. That's not going to cut it. So I'll take a mulligan. It'll reshuffle my arsenal, my deck of 60, and deal me 8 cards again. All right, force match. I'm going to keep that. You don't want that second mulligan unless you absolutely have to use it. Keep. And I get to go first. Roll to 3. Play a pair of force cards. X3 Black Dog. Do Savage Escalation Force. This is the Urban Warzone game mat that I'm using with this deck today. 1 action for the turn with nothing really standing out to use here. Pass at the last action and then the turn. Roll a 4. I think one of the biggest lessons for new players to learn is that you don't necessarily need to use all of your actions in a turn. Sometimes it'll work against you. Pair of intel cards. And then a weather card. If you play like intel and weather early, it can be a bit of a mystery to your opponent what type of deck layout you might have, because you have the option with an arsenal of 60 to have a group. You can have it where there's only 3 of a given card, but that's foolish, really. Your best bet's going 15 sets of 4 with some of those 6. Usually I don't have morale in, but maybe I'll do some more of that here as time goes by. Roll to 4. I've got some great morale cards. That Ziana was the leader that I was it pledged? Something like a fraternity thing. But since that went away, I don't need them per se like I did earlier as far as how they benefit me. Because they do a great job with loot to reward people that buy cards in this wonderful game. 4 actions to go for the turn. I can sit here and yak all day, but it's not going to make this sort out any better necessarily. I will go the RCG Charleston. Send the Navy. And while I could play something here in that 3rd spot in my war zone, really not keen on that, especially opposite A pair of intel cards. Got the angry mob coming at you. That cause production strike. They got their own signs. Got to slash through that. Anyway, so that's the risk I have putting those out there, but also why there's sometimes good reason to not put something in that third spot in your war zone. So I'll pass the last two actions in the turn. Taking on Kron. Roll 2. We'll be going back to the randomizer after this match. I'll be looking for more competition for people I haven't played yet today in Warsaken Blitz. All right, so that's it for the turn. For my opponent, roll 2. All right, well, it worked out well with the RCG Charleston. Maybe it's just luck that it was that, not the other force pair that I could have gone with there. So the RCG Charleston will be a force match. Aid has arrived.
Select target.
This will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. I have 1 action to go for the turn. But as noted, there is that pair of intel cards in my opponent's war zone, so pass up that last action in the turn. It's a roll of 3 for Kron. WMD match. That's a gold WMD on top of it. A WMD match will eliminate 2 of my 4 territories. Just like that, I'm down from 4 to 2. My turn. 1. Oof. Treasury Department, that high yield, which will actually mean something in the full Warsaken game. It's just kind of fun to talk about here. The only thing that really matters with the territory cards in Blitz is the morale. But it does matter. So, as evidenced earlier, when I lost to an opponent with a morale-heavy deck. 1 action for the turn. I'll pass it up in the turn. Roll a 4. There's a force match. That's going to drop me down to 1 territory. There goes the Treasury Department. 1 action to go for the turn. All I have left is the Black Earth Mine. Once all of your territories are eliminated, of course, at that point, you'll have a compromised leader. So, a pair of intel cards, a pair of weather cards in my opponent's war zone. Roll 5. I don't think there's a match here, is there? Oh my. Oh dear. Well, I can put a couple of pair out there in the war zone. I could do that. Let's see. Put some intel out there. Satellite recon. I mean, I could put a force pair out there, but then which ones do you go with? We'll go with Sergeant Sigwalt Klein. Let's do it. A little later in the match, here I'm down to 1 territory. Now's not the time to play too conservatively. I'll pass it the last action, though. We'll keep that 4th spot in my war zone open on the turn. Taking on Kron here in Warsaken Blitz on NashvilleLou Liv. It's a roll of 6. There's an intel match. That's the risk I took. Putting that force out there. Now, it could go after my arsenal and surprise me, or could force me to discard, but I'm thinking it's going to bounce. There's the bounce. 1 of each for my war zone. 5 actions still to go for the turn. Kron just needs 2 more force matches. 1 to take out, to eliminate my final remaining territory. The other to eliminate would then be a compromised leader. There is a building match, so that's going to be either force or intel coming back. You figure going for force. Roman's prototype, yep. That's the play. Now there's only 2 actions to go for the turn. Kron has a 4th Romans prototype. Maybe you just play one of them here. Oh, there's 2. Let's see what I can get here. My turn. 3. Oof. Do a pullback on Sergeant Sigwalt Klein. And we'll play a pair of weather cards. Geomagnetic Disturbance. But that's it for my turn. It's a roll of 1 for Kron. And look at that. Gold, ideal conditions. There's a force match. Yeah, I knew that was likely imminent, considering that, at least on the prior turn, Kron go back for that with a building match. So I've got a compromise later. Tough spot. Let's see if I can fight my way out of it at 5. Well, let's see. I've got at least one force match over here with the Eels. Or the WELs. I'm not sure. E-L. How I'm supposed to say that. So we'll play that. This will at least take my opponent's territory count from 3 down to 2 remaining.
Select target.
Even Ben Kier Island in gold. Eliminated. Looks good and all, but at some point, trying to get rid of it all. So 2 actions to go for the turn. Let's see. We'll play an X3 Black Dog. I'll do a pullback on the Satellite Recon. That'll end my turn. All that Kron needs is one more force match to beat me. It's a roll of 5. 19 cards and 5 actions. Surely this will be it. If not that, then perhaps a weather match. Intel, interesting. I'm going to bounce the 2 force cards and then one of the weathers would be my anticipation. Other way around. Okay, so one of the... I guess knowing that I already had one in my discard pile, you didn't have to get rid of both of them. That's actually a really smart play. I'm not sure how calculated that was, but if you did that knowing that I had one of those in there already, then that was just a... It might not make a difference, but it's pretty savvy. Meanwhile, at least I'm getting another roll. I wasn't counting on that. I mean, if I roll a 6 here, then hang on. 3. Well, I will have a weather match. So I'll get an extra turn. Let's see. 3. And you can wait and wait and wait for WMD, and it might not ever show up. However, sneaking over here on the leftmost side, assassination attempt. This will be an intel match. Let's bounce.
Select target.
Knowing that a force match would beat me. This is a 1 of 1 blood foil. Look at this.
Select target. Select target.
We'll bounce both of the Goliaths and then the gold. You don't get a choice on which one. It happened to be the one on top. So we'll bounce the ideal conditions as well. Just one of them. That's it for my turn. I'm still in a spot with a compromised leader. 1. Wow, I'm going to get at least one more roll. You never know for sure. In Warsaken Blitz. Taking on Kron. Force card. That ends the turn. My turn. 5. Alright, I got the WMD. Of course, now you get when it rains, it pours with that. But I think I'm going to be 1 shy because That's how it's looking at the moment. So we'll play the EMP Discharge. There'll be a WMD match that will eliminate my opponent's final 2 remaining territories.
Select target. Compromised.
We both have compromised leaders, so the next one of us make a force match will get the win. We'll play 2 of Ray and the Insider. But that's it for my turn. Kron with a roll of 5. This will probably do it right here. Kron just needs 1 more force match to get the win. We both got a compromised leader. If not that, perhaps a weather match. $19 cards and 5 actions here for Kron, who just needs a force match to beat me. And this is about as close as it gets in Warsaken Blitz. Building cards. I was wondering, okay, this one, the ideal conditions. There's another one of those up in Kron's hand that could be an extra turn. If you go back for force, what do you got out there? What is this? The really colorful. The Phoenix Reaper. I should have known. F92 Phoenix Reaper. Okay. So I think you grabbed the gold ideal conditions. So if there's a third ideal conditions, it could mean an extra turn. Okay, there it is. Extra turn. The +3 actions. Okay, that means you got the goods then, I guess. Roman's prototype. For the win. In gold.
Leader eliminated. Defeated.
All right, good game. Kron victorious. And now back live on headset with you here. NashvilleLou Liv. Got 15 players in for this next Twitchy Tides game. If you'd like to be in on this next game and you're not in yet, last chance for this next game with !play in chat. That's !play to get in this next Twitchy Tides game that will get started here in a moment. This will be the 13th Twitchy Tides game of the broadcast. In 12 prior games, we've had 12 different winners. No repeat winners thus far. Perhaps it'll be different with game number 13. We'll find out here in just a moment. I plan on going at least 1 more hour with Warsaken Blitz Classic. I do have to get some sleep. Then we'll have to get to sleep at a decent hour tomorrow night. Get ready for that big broadcast. Gotta make the drive up to Swanee, Tennessee. Want to be sleepy going in to call a big game on Saturday, but there are people looking to watch, looking to play right now, right away with Twitchy Tides. Let's get to it. 15 players are in. For this next Twitchy Tides game, the winner receives an item from the NashvilleLou collection, plus a Warsaken foil prime card. If I win, that prize goes to second place. And this next Twitchy Tides game of the broadcast begins now. Good luck. Pink Felicia, Zap's finest HM, and 2 high. And early on, we're down to 13. I'll use the 9 lives command with my Rainbow Soul the Catfish. That just means if I get killed while I have that shine on, I'll regenerate. Well, the shine's gone. And so am I. That cannonball was definitive. Pennybags Jr., me, Kyung Wei, all taken out. That was abrupt. We're down to 10 remaining players. You've got a top 10 finish locked up, and thus leaderboard points. But here's Krabby Mike. Krabby Mike takes out DeBoer JS and Buzz King. We're down to 8. It's Twitchy Tides here on NashvilleLou Liv, with more Warsaken Blitz Classic coming up. Depth charge. That takes out Wayne Smith. We're down to 7. More than half the field is out at this point. Big Worm, the hook. There goes Dave Ira. We're down to 6. It's Twitchy Tides here on NashvilleLou Liv, with more Warsaken Blitz Classic coming up. And man, Krabby Mike struck fast, taking out Cesaro NLV and Master A's. So we're down to the final 4. Cabinarna, Funko Lover, Tatitro 17, and Nashja, the last 4. Coming up on 13 hours and counting. So maybe I'm going 14 with it. We'll see. Nashja gets taken out by Krabby Mike. Tatitro escapes. Can Funko Lover? No. Krabby Mike with that wall crawl. And it's down to the final 2. Cabinarna and Tatitro 17, the last 2. Welcome to NashvilleLou Liv. Depth charge. Out of nowhere, it takes out Tatitro, and that's the game. So congratulations, Cabinarna. So now 13 games and 13 different winners. Wide variety of players, wide variety of winners. Really something. I know we went 15 for 15 the other day, but still, it shows that wasn't an anomaly. That people really are looking to play around the world and around the clock when it comes to Twitchy Tides. Remember, top 10 finish equals leaderboard points for that monthly competition. So top 10 for the board JS on up. All the way up to number 1. And your winner, Cabinarna, victorious. All right, back open for that next Twitchy Tides game coming up in our next hour. You can get in right now like I'm about to do by typing !play in chat. I'll get in with a Lulu fish. We've got Scurvybot giving out Nash Cash. You can use that to dig every 15 minutes. 10 Nash Cash, not legal tender, but you can use it to dig in the Scurvybot dig pool. Got a 100% success rate. No dig pass required. Want as many people to participate as possible that want to. Some people just want to listen and lurk. And not like in a bot kind of way, but like in, they just like to listen to my broadcasts kind of way. Which is great. I welcome everybody. Alright. So we'll have this next Twitchy Tides game coming up in the next hour. This might be the last hour of the broadcast, knocking on the door of 13 hours. I do have to get some sleep at some point. But for now, more Warsaken Blitz Classic here on NashvilleLou Liv.
Warsaken.
Alright, here we go. Taking on Tech. Okay, so my notes caught up. I can work with this. Keep. And I get to go first. 1. Look at that. I'm not going to put that out there quite yet. Ideal conditions. Weather card. That's it for my turn. Again, with this deck today, I'm using the Blood Fungus game mat. Some of the red and white accessories kind of provide a different kind of look as far as showing off some of the various, I think the word they use, the in-game elements, the I guess their title is gear, but there's a specific term they use for it. Cosmetics. That's it. 2 sets of 2 weather. Opposite me for tech. So roll of 5. This is working out quite nicely early on, at least. Ideal conditions. It's a weather match. I'll take the extra turn in a moment. 3 actions to go for the turn. This will be a WMD match. This will eliminate 2 of my opponent's 4 territories.
Select the target.
Extra turn. 3. Alright, well nothing makes a match, but I can play a pair of weather cards. Blinding Sandstorm. 1 action to go for the turn. I think we'll hold off on that. Pass up the action and the turn. Taking on tech. Warsaken Blitz NashvilleLou Liv. My next broadcast, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC, with more Warsaken Blitz. I'll let my voice rest up some this weekend. There's a weather match for tech. Intel. Pair of Intel cards. Extra turn, roll of 1. No play, my turn. 5. Could put building cards out there. I just know that's asking for trouble with an opponent that's got a pair of Intel cards out there. You don't want to put building cards out there if you can help it. As much as it pains me, I'm going to pass up all 5 actions in the turn. Roll of 5 for tech. Later in this hour, I'm giving away another Warsaken wheel spin. Your chance to win's coming up. Another pair of Intel cards. 2 sets of 2 Intel building cards. Wow. 4 wide and 2 deep out there for tech. My turn. 3. All right, I can play building cards. You're not going back for a WMD in this case because you can only play at most 1 WMD match in a given side in a game of Warsaken Blitz. So instead, because I really don't have any other options that are much better, let's go back and get some weather, ideal conditions. But that's it for my turn. There's some risk to doing it that way. If I held onto the building cards, maybe something gets bounced. And then there's the opportunity to bring it back with the building cards, but you can't wait around forever in this game. Roll of 1 for tech. No play. My turn. 1. So I'm not putting the weather cards out there against that. I will play Clever Hijack. That's it for my turn. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv, taking on tech. Tech with a roll of 5. I figure something's going to match. One of those 4 sets of 2 out there. It was a building match, and there it is. That'll be weather coming back to tech. So there's a spot open. You'll probably see a trio weather card show up. Yep, here we go again with that. So it'll be an extra turn for tech with 1 action still to go for this turn. Extra turn, roll 5. 20 cards and 5 actions. Yeah, that's a good point, Kron, about Intel, how that can slow down opponents. And sometimes it may actually be doing your opponent a favor if they're being overly aggressive. Encouraging them to not use all their actions can sometimes actually benefit them. Let's see, went back for the weather again. That's it for the turn. 6. Wow, I got some weather choices. Got a lot of choices. A lot of choices. I've already played by WMD, so I don't have to worry about that. Guess we'll go extra turn, extra turn. It would be different if I had a force match in hand, but I don't. So extra turn. I only get the 1 extra turn, but I will get a second here because of the ideal conditions. I need 3 force matches essentially to get the win. First extra turn, roll a 4. I could go weather. Let's think about this. I would love to use intel and bounce 1 each of those 3 out there, but with 20 cards, I don't know. If I go weather plus 3 turns, that would be kind of a waste of them anyway. There's no point in going plus 3 turns if they're not out there. I would go extra turn, but then if I, all right, let's go with it. Extra turn. T15 Jameson Hall. 1. T15 Jameson Haller. Another extra turn. 5. Well, so I can play the intel and still have a force match as well in this turn. And still have 2 actions because I have that T15 Jameson Haller. Let's play that first. Maybe the better play isn't to go intel. Let's think about this. It probably will be the better play, though. I have 4 actions for the turn. I can play another force match and give my opponent a compromise leader, and then play 1 more hammerhead. I think I may actually do that. Even though there's plenty of potential for bouncing, but that doesn't matter as much at this point, I don't think. So let's do it that way. G1 Foxbuster. Force match.
Select target.
This force match will eliminate my opponent's final remaining territory. Give my opponent a compromised leader.
Compromised.
And now with 1 action to go for the turn, play the A9 Hammerhead. That's it for my turn. So Tech has a compromised leader, but 20 cards plus whatever's rolled here, plus the 3Y 2 deep out there in the war zone opposite me. It's a roll of 6. Oh my goodness. 26 cards. Oh my. Intel. This could try to mill down my arsenal. That's exactly what's going to happen. 18 to 12. If my arsenal hits 0, I have a compromised leader. Weather match. Extra turn. Probably. It's either that or plus 3 actions, so I'd prefer it not to be the plus 3 actions. That's usually the sign you're about to get just smoked on something. About to get just pounded. Get that extra turn isn't exactly a lovely idea. Anyways, a second extra turn. Tech just needs 2 more intel matches to mill my arsenal down to 0. Here's the first extra turn. Roll a 3. Another intel match. I'm down to 6 cards in my arsenal. 1 more intel match. would give me a compromised leader. Weather card, extra turn number 2. One. So if I roll a 2 or higher for my next turn, I should get the win. Unless that's an intel match that would bounce something. Nope. Weather. Okay. 2 or higher and I get the win. Let's see. 1! What a rib. What a rib. 1. Okay, in the event that gets taken out, here's the problem though. I got another 5. So I guess 6 or 5. That's really... Either way, an intel, this is not good. And the problem is me sticking that hammerhead out there, this is going to get gone after, I bet. Oh my. Clever hijack. That's it for the turn. Oh. 2. I hope there's not a 3rd freezing rainstorm. An intel match would mean I'd have a compromised leader, but a weather match would mean an extra turn. And I think I'd rather take the former at this point. Oh, there's the weather match for the extra turn. I'm going to take the +3 actions here. Well, if you got, there you go. That's going to be it. As far as getting me to a compromise later. I bet you Tech's got a force match ready to play. Agent Nika Devin, of course, the sneaky one at the very end. Good game. All right, good game, Tech.
Warsaken.
All right, here we go. Taking on Carlo CGTV. Hello, Chowabunga. Hello. Doing great. How about you? Yeah, the randomizer's closed for the moment. We're going back to it after this match. And it's been cruel to Flaw today. Although Flaw did get that Warsaken wheel spin earlier, so she won't leave empty-handed no matter how this rest of the show plays out. Well, this is a bit of a mess here of cards. So despite having the pair of building cards, that's, to me, I'll take the mulligan instead of that. So reshuffles my arsenal, my deck of 60. That's more likely something I can work with early. Or the weather keep. You don't want to take that second mulligan unless you really need that second mulligan. This is the base entrance game mat that I'm using here, which also happens to be additional one of those that's up on the prize wheel for today. Prize wheel for people that beat me here in live player versus player competition. Roll of 1 to start things off. Carlos CGTV. Create a trivia song. 2. Every now and then a break from something is helpful. Let's go with weather. A pair of Savage Escalation weather cards. Geomagnetic Disturbance. That's it for my turn. So my opponent is Carlo CGTV. Went through all the categories already. Roll of 2. Some of those categories depends on the, I guess, on who's administering the game. What they consider 90s rock. I'm like, huh. I was a college DJ in the 90s. I got some pretty obscure cuts that I know about, and y'all are finding stuff I've never heard of. My turn. That's part of, it's fun sometimes when you don't know the songs. You're trying to get like context clues, trying to hear a name or something that sounds like it might match. Alright, well I can bounce everything from my opponent's war zone. So we'll do that. Stolen blueprints. You have 3 different options with an intel match. Milling 6 sends 6 cards from your opponent's deck to your opponent's discard pile. You can force your opponent to discard. The earlier the better if you're going to do it, but I love to bounce.
Select target.
We have the option of bouncing. Typically, you'll only do this if your opponent has at least 3 cards out there in the war zone opposite you. We'll bounce the intel.
Select target.
And both of the weathers. Those cards get bounced from the war zone to the discard pile. 3 actions to go for the turn. Nothing else makes a match, but I can play some intel here with the assassination attempt. 2 of those. Pair of weather cards, pair of intel cards. I'll pass up the last action and end the turn. Carlos CGTV with a roll of 6. After this match, we'll be going back to the randomizer. I'll be looking for another opponent. Somebody I haven't played yet today in Warsaken Blitz. Carlos CGTV here with 14 cards and a roll of 6. Terrifying Storm, pair of weather cards. Building cards. Shadow Torture Facility. Yikes. 2 actions to go for the turn. A 3rd building card would allow my opponent to retrieve those 3 cards that I unceremoniously bounced from the war zone to the discard pile. There's a WMD. Remember, a WMD match eliminates 2 of your opponent's territories. There's a reason I'm hesitant to put them out there in my war zone. They're way getting bounced sometimes. That's it for the turn. My turn. What? Well, nothing particularly helpful here, so we'll pass up that 1 action in the turn. Trying to have some discretion as far as not just automatically putting something out there in the 3rd spot of my war zone. I think sometimes that has tripped me up tactically, so I'm trying some different things with that. 2 actions here for my opponent, taking on Carlos CGTV. We'll be going back to the randomizer after this match. We'll be looking for another opponent. More live player versus player competition. My next broadcast, Warsaken Blitz, will be Monday. This upcoming Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You know I love 2 p.m. Eastern. All over that. Pair of weather cards to end the turn. My turn. 2. Okay. I'll go ahead and play the... Well, you know what? Actually... Okay, let's do it. Max Harper dealer. I waited an extra turn, but... There's a lot out there in my opponent's war zone. Taking on Carlos CGTV, who just rolled a 6. Chowbunga saying, it's more fun when other people don't know the songs. 6 actions, 15 cards here for Carlos CGTV. I probably still have the CD somewhere, or maybe not. But I feel like when I was in high school and in college, it was great having the Queen Greatest Hits double CD. Tremendous tracks, but deep cuts that go beyond that are kind of outside of my realm of knowledge. So it makes it interesting. It's like, you know, playing, it's like guitar solo. What guitar solo? What is this business? But then you kind of figure it out. There's a 4s match for Carlos CGTV. That's going to eliminate one of my 4 territories. Two actions to go for the turn. So a pair of weather cards to end the turn. My turn. 4. Alright, so I have a match with a third geomagnetic disturbance. Weather match. Take an extra turn. We'll get to that in a moment. 2 spots open in my war zone. 3 actions to go for the turn. Put some force out there. A pair of B6 rabid beasts. Pass up the last action for this turn. Extra turn. 4. I mean, ultimately it's a game, so it's not like you have to get... You know, it's fun. It's interesting to see where people's music strengths and weaknesses are. You get me too far past 2016 and my pop music just like falls off a cliff. B6 Rabid Beast. That's a 4 smash. This will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Two spots open in my war zone. 3 actions to go for the turn. Play a pair of weather cards. Terrifying Storm. I'll pass up that last action in the turn. More songs. More music. I imagine licensing for that is very tricky. I'm very careful with the music that I put on my live streams. Like, me having my own music is not any sort of reflection at all against the music in Warsaken. They've got some great music. I'm just extremely paranoid to the point of being, no, I'm doing this one my way, and I'm not going to do my best to not run into the copyright monsters. There's no reasoning with them. There's no appeal. It's tough enough to get the occasional phantom claim, especially on YouTube, to the point I'm not like using YouTube anymore for archiving stuff. But man, if it's like this now, we're going to be like 5 years from now. Stuff ends up getting pulled or whatever. So weather match will be an extra turn. It's very nice with Twitch. You can make a highlight of your broadcast and it sticks around indefinitely. Not everybody wants to do that, obviously, but I see. It should be pretty obvious by now that I see the value in this content beyond just the live form. Blue Remix. I'm running stuff from August and people are still watching because it's compelling as far as the gameplay goes. People trying to learn the game. And I can't have Lou Remix up all the time because I have to use that computer for other things from time to time, like playing the game right now. Like, I'm not running competition against myself. I can put some Fire Pro Wrestling World on there. So I'm taking on Carlos CGTV. I wonder if there's a problem. Oh, there's the 3. I was about to say if I needed to refresh the app just to be sure it wasn't something on my end. So, a roll of 3, 14 cards, 3 actions, all those potential matches with the pairs out in the war zone opposite me. The stuff they got, I bounced earlier. Going back to the cloud cover, maybe the pulled critical part. Just gonna go weather straight across. Gonna go with force. I love that you can look at your opponent's discard pile. It really is fun. You're like most card games, you're not allowed to do this. And you don't have to do this, but this game will reward you for paying attention. Taking on Carlos CGTV and Warsaken Blitz here on NashvilleLou Liv. We'll be going back to the randomizer after this match. I'll be looking for another opponent that I haven't faced yet today in live player versus player competition. My next broadcast, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. More Warsaken Blitz. I love playing this game. I love live streaming this game. All right, so the stuff that got bounced was brought back. Look at that pair of cloud covers. So we're both down to 3 territories remaining. 2 actions to go for the turn for Carlos CGTV. There's a second WMD. A third would make a WMD match and eliminate 2 of my 3 remaining territories. Intel. My turn. 6. All right. Couple options here. I could go WMD and then force, give my opponent the compromise leader. I could go weather, but that's, I don't know. I think I'm going to hold off on the weather. Because potentially, if like a black blade drops in for the next turn, I don't know if the weather is going to be the... I think I'm going to do it this way. I will do it this way. WMD match. EMP discharge. This will eliminate 2 of my opponent's 3 remaining territories.
Select target.
Well, I could go weather. I'm instead going to go with a Ken show. This force match will eliminate my opponent's final territory, give my opponent a compromised leader.
Select target. Leader compromised.
So my opponent is a compromised leader. I just need one more force match to get the win. But it's Carlos CGTV's turn. 4. There's a weather match. Three actions to go for the turn, with an extra turn pending. My opponent is a compromised leader. Pair of building cards. There's a third building card. I'm back for force or weather. I'm guessing weather. Indeed. It's the blinding sandstorm. Extra turn. If it was a 3 or higher, the blinding sandstorm's gonna be played, and then another extra turn. So, rule of 4 here. Taking on Carlos CGTV, who has a compromised leader, but now has 18 cards and 4 actions. There's a weather match, so another extra turn to come. So as predicted, blinding sandstorm weather, another extra turn. Two. Taking on Carlos CGTV, who has a compromised leader. There's an intel match. Could go after my war zone. Bounce 3 cards from there. It's probably what'll end up happening. Could mill 6 cards from my arsenal. But I'd still have 21 in there, so I don't think that's the play. When you've got a compromised leader, you gotta do what you can to try and minimize the threat from an impending force attack. So bouncing 1 each of the 3 war pairs that are now single cards out there in my war zone. Extra turn, roll a 3. It does get tough to keep track of the extra turns after a while. Again, this game rewards you for paying attention. There's the WMD match. Finally arrived here for Carlos CGTV. That's going to eliminate 2 of my 3 remaining territories. Be down to 1. After this match, we're going back to the randomizer. I'll be looking for another opponent for live player versus player competition. 2 actions to go for the turn. My opponent is a compromised leader, but I'm down to just 1 territory left. Dropship. Second dropship. If I can get a force match here, I'll win the game. 6. Double O Black Blade for the win.
Select target.
All right, it's a hard-fought battle. Good game, Carlos CGTV.
Warsaken.
All right, here we go. Taking on Flaw. It's got the tremendous avatar. Look at that. You can see the serrated edge on it. Not the business end pointed towards you. And there it is up there. If you missed it before. Well, this is interesting in that the only thing that makes a pair is a WMD. And I'm not going to... With this, I'm trying to set myself up to have something to play out of the gate. And playing WMDs like that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'll take a mulligan here. It'll reshuffle my arsenal, my deck of 60, and then deal me 8 cards once again. Sometimes you don't get a better draw when you take a mulligan. So the dreaded second mulligan, that's what I'm going to have to do here. So I'm stuck with whatever they give me as far as the shuffle and the redeal, and Flaw gets an extra card. I mean, I came away with something here. At least I have a pair I can work with. The CR says 9 cards up there for Flaw. Normally I have 8. But if you use that second mulligan, give your opponent that extra card. Sometimes that one card can make all the difference. Roll a 3. Yeah, your Flaw, while your dog avatar, yeah, is great because the dog, like, it's focused. It's that focus on the knife, and you're just like waiting for the gaze to get set on you, like it's gonna look up and then charge. So, weather cards here for Flaw. 1 each with the weather. My turn. 6. All right, so I have a weather match. I'll use this for an extra turn. So with a wide open war zone and 3 actions to go for this turn, we'll go ahead and play a pair of Z27 Tigers on fire. All right, for this turn, 1 action remains. I'll pass up that last action to end this turn. Extra turn. 4. All right, so building cards are an option. But I think the better play is going to be going Force. Agent Zara.
Select target.
Force match eliminates one of your opponent's 4 territories. Look at that in gold. Mount Airy gas deposits. -6 morale. But again, the little details, like even I love it. The artwork in this game is tremendous. Unfortunately, that artwork has to be eliminated. That's the way it works. So 1 action to go for the turn. I'm not going to put the building cards out there. Pass up the action, end the turn. Now it's Flaw's turn. Well, I was saying that she loves that card, but I left this out there for now. Bloodfoil St. Purcell Harbor. That only 4 of these exist. Flaw's got one of them right there. So roll a 5 here for Flaw. Morale. Look at this. Flaw playing a pair of morale cards. What is this? Instilling Fear. Man. The foil prime, that very rare version of this, looks really cool. Very ominous. I mean, in some ways the opposite of cool. It's like the little details to it. I just love the artwork in this game. My turn. 2. Well, I'm not going to put even now, I'm still hesitant about putting building cards out there like that. So with 3 spots open in my war zone, instead I'll go Burn Notice on fire. Play 2 of these, and that'll be it for the turn. So roll a 3 here for flaw. This is the Dusk Magma game map that I'm using. There's a morale match. That's going to drop my morale from 20 down to 14. If your morale hits 0, it's like if your territories are all eliminated, or if your arsenal hits 0 cards. Any of those 3 happen, and at that point you got to compromise later. Saw it earlier, a tremendous matchup earlier had morale in play on it. That's it for the turn. Roll a 4, so I can finally use these building cards without having to risk it being out there possibly targeted. So I go back for weather, I go back for force. I'd probably go back for weather, although I couldn't play it this turn, but that's true as well with the force. Still looking for a WMD, so I think the better play is to go fire in the fields. But I'm not going to put it out there right now because that's going to be an obvious potential target. Instead, since I do have that 3rd spot in my war zone open, I'll play 1 cloud cover on fire. That's it for the turn. It's not all fire forged. I've got some like, here's the Mount of Tanya. So it's not entirely all, but a lot of it is fire forged. I really need to go through and switch some stuff out with the decks just to mix up the inventory a bit, show off. I've got so many potential matchups as far as cards go for this game. And the more you can show it off, the better. With some of the newer stuff, I don't have it, like 4 of them yet. So I might do some selective buying on the secondary market, depending on what's out there over the weekend, and try and beef that up a bit as far as showing off some of the new stuff. There's a building card match. So Flaw's probably going to go back for weather. I mean, it could go for morale, but I'm guessing weather. Weather. Extra turn. 2. Oh, that's great, Chowbunga. So the Fire Forged are great for standard. Glad to hear it. I love the, I mean, that to me, it's tremendous. The level of detail, the artwork, and the fact if it's going to help me out for the, for standard, that's awesome as well. All right, so Flaw, meanwhile, has Flaw out there with a pair of WMDs, pair of morale cards, and a weather. My turn. 3. Well. Fire in the fields. We'll take the extra turn. 3. All right, so I've got a WMD match. That's what I was wanting. Triggered Meltdown. Fire. Like, they're not all fire cards within that. You know how it is. Some of those are, the WMDs in particular can be kind of tricky. So this will eliminate 2 of Flaw's 3 remaining territories. Got to take out the St. Purcell Harbor. Had to happen. So Flaw's down to 1 territory. But that's it for my turn. Oh, you're talking about particularly Fire Forged forces and territories. Not as much for weather and intel. I've got so much to learn about that. So roll a 4. So there's a weather match. I mean, an extra turn for Flaw. So again, a reminder, my next broadcast will be Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. Roll a 4 here for Flaw. I'll be back with Warsaken Blitz this upcoming Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. There's a WMD match. That's going to eliminate 2 of my 4 territories. So Flaw's down to 1 territory remaining. I'll be down to 2. And she still has 3 actions to go for the turn. Keep in mind, this also impacts the morale. Drops from a 14 to a 5. A morale match right here. What I get for toting around one of those like -5 morale cards. There's a force match. Now this won't give me a compromise leader, luckily. I'll be down to 2 morale. But morale or not, I'm down to 1 territory, so is Flaw. My turn. 5. Could go back for force, but then I couldn't play it in this turn as well. Let's go weather. Cloud cover. Extra turn. Let's bulk up on extra turns. Bulk up on them. Or I could just wait for the extra... Well, no, let's play... In case I need the +3 actions. Maybe I should only play 2 of these here and split it up. I think I'll do that. At least I'll think about it. Maybe I'll play the 3rd one here as well. You know, I don't want to block that 4th spot in my war zone. Okay, change of heart. Let's do it. Did a slow way there. Makes you appreciate when you can play them all at once. Extra turns. I've got 2 extra turns. Here's the first one. I need 2 force matches. That's a 6. But I don't have any force matches. Oof. I can bounce the morales and the weather. That morale's not immaterial since I'm down to 2 morale remaining. I can go back for weather. I can go back for force, really, and play it and give my opponent a compromise later. That's the play here, I think. So the guard tower on fire. Flossing, come on! And you roll on a 6 there. We'll go back for Agent Zera. 3 actions to go for the turn. Agent Zera will be a force match. This will give Law a compromise later.
Select target.
Law saying she's very dead. I don't know. It's going to be your turn, though. Oh, it might extra turn, maybe. I just need 1 more force match, but I'm not sitting on one, so we'll see what I roll here. 3. And I got lucky at the very end. A7 axe for the win.
Select target.
All right, good game, Flaw. Almost, you're right, almost. All right, back live on headset with you here, NashvilleLou Liv. We will have more Warsaken Blitz Classic coming up. I was on the fence. I've been pretty tired, but we got a good thing going here. We'll keep it going at least 1 more hour. For now, we've got ourselves a Twitchy Tides game set up, I should say. My tongue is falling asleep. Let's pull the overlay down. So 16 players are in, including me, with the Lulu fish. And remember, if you're not sure where your fish is in the lobby area, exclamation ping, P-I-N-G. Your fish becomes twice as large for a small amount of time. A few seconds. Get that pulse behind you. Kind of have a way of standing out. So to this point, we've had 13 Twitchy Tides games and 13 different winners. I haven't had a single repeat winner for a stream that started almost 14 hours ago. So we'll see what happens here. Will we finally get a repeat? We have 14 for 14. We had 15 for 15 the other night, so it's not exactly unprecedented or unreasonable. It's just interesting in a good way. It's a positive. It means lots of people are playing, lots of people are winning. We got 17 players in for this next Twitchy Tides game for the winner. An item from the NashvilleLou collection, plus a Warsaken foil prime card. If I happen to win, prize goes to second place. 17 players are in. And this next Twitchy Tides game begins now. Good luck. Welcome to NashvilleLou Liv. Welcome to Twitchy Tides. It's Debo. A rude welcome from Debo. Bulk, the Bear, and Flantality are out. Down to 15. We'll have more Warsaken Blitz Classic coming up. Depth charge out of nowhere takes out Blue Skies, and we're down to 14. Pink Felicia stings too high, and Cesaro and LV. We're down to 12. Let's see if I can pull off the Dream Commander if I dawdled too long on that. There we go. I get a little purple bubble around me for a minute. Cannonball takes out IMJR, DeBoer JS, and Funko Lover. Got spun around a bit by that Dream Command, but the damage was already done. We're down to 9. Remaining players. You've earned a top 10 finish and thus leaderboard points out of this game. Here comes Pink Felicia up top. Felicia stings Wayne Smith and Chucky. And we're down to 7. We'll have more Warsaken Blitz Classic coming up. At least one more hour of it. I was on the fence there. I was on the fence here at this last bit, but we'll go at least one more hour. Pink Felicia. Parrot and Jeff 0079 are out. I thought that was going to be it for my Lulu fish. I got very lucky right there. Fortunate that kill maximum's capped at 2 for Felicia. That worked out well for me there. We're down to 5. Here comes Pink Felicia once again. Tree Frog Nada is out. Genteri is out. We're down to the final 3. Master Halo, Pennybags Jr., and me, NashvilleLou. None of us have won yet today. At least I don't see Pennybags on there. I don't see Master Halo on there. I know I haven't won one yet. The hook from Big Worm. There goes Pennybags Jr. So the prize is going to go to Master Halo regardless. Let's see who the winner's going to be. I'm Team No Hands at this point. It's unfair advantage if you have 0-second lag. Pink Felicia. Can Lulu stay high enough to get past Felicia? Indeed, the Lulu fish coming through for me. The battle continues. Me, NashvilleLou, against Master Halo, the final 2. I haven't won yet today. Master Halo hasn't won here today either. I'm out, and that's the game. So congratulations, Master Halo. The winner here in this 14th Twitchy Tides game of the broadcast. 14 games and 14 different winners. That is a good thing. Maybe a variety of people playing, a variety of people winning. And for the top 10 finishers, leaderboard points. So for Funko Lover on up, a top 10 finish. All the way to number 1. And your winner, Master Halo 40, victorious. So we'll have at least one more Twitchy Tides game coming up before the end of the broadcast. You can get in right now. Secure your spot with !play in chat. And I'll get into the Vape Ape from Las Vegas Ape. Funko Lover is in as well. We've got ScurvyBot giving out Nash Cash. Not legal tender, but you can use Nash Cash to dig. And that ScurvyBot dig pool. It's got a 100% success rate. No dig pass required. Have to wait 15 minutes between digging. There is a cooldown. Alright. So we'll have another Twitchy Tides game coming up in our next hour. We're going to press on with more Warsaken Blitz Classic here on NashvilleLou Liv.
Warsaken.
All right, here we go. Taking on Rexy. The problem with my microphone, if I boost it too far, the static gets to be off-putting. I've got some new cards in play here. Sergeant Taven Reed, got the Shattered Ground Weather. So I did a little bit of selective buying on the secondary market. Some of these had like 2 or 3, where I wanted 4, like the Suit X. Anyway, there's a nice look at cards I'm not going to play initially, so I'm going to take a mulligan since nothing matches. Mulligan reshuffles my arsenal, my deck is 60. Deals me 8 additional, that's more like it. A DXC up in here. Keep. This is the Rustic Wall game mat that I'm using here with this deck today. So the computer randomly chooses one of the two players to go first. In this case, it's Rexy. Rolled a 6. Pair of force cards. 2 sets of 2 force. 2 actions to go for the turn. An intel card to end the turn. My turn. 6. Well, this will work. Play the weather cards, geomagnetic disturbance. This will give me an extra turn. I have 3 actions to go for this turn. Play the DXC. Force. Savage escalation.
Select target.
Force match allows me to eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Speaking of savage escalation, it's a set 2 savage escalation territory here. Brotherland Fields. Eliminate. Extra turn. 1. Somewhat unusual in this particular circumstance, not want to play anything here, but I don't think playing anything here is going to work in my favor. If I had a weather, I might have considered throwing it out as a one-off, but I'm still not sure if that's a good idea in general at all. Nevertheless, pass it up here. I'll have a weather to throw out. In turn. Taking on Rexinator, who's using the Warmonger game title there. There's a force match. This will eliminate one of my 4 territories. And a weather card play. That ends the turn. My turn. 2. Weather cards. Talked about this. The Savage Escalation. This is Shattered Ground. Earthquake. Now, for the purposes of Warsaken Blitz, it's just a weather card. The specifics on there apply to the full Warsaken game, Blitz being the simplified version. Makes it easy to learn the game. You just have to figure out these 6 categories, which are not that difficult to figure out. And morale, more often than not, won't be a big factor in Blitz, the way it is now, at least. Your building cards, your force, your intel, your weather, your WMD, and you look for the insignias, the emblems there, bottom left of the cards. You start with a leader card, 4 territories, and your arsenal, your deck of 60. Roll a 6 for Rexy. Building cards. So Rexy going back for that force that was already played. I'm guessing we'll see that Triton Ironside back around again. Indeed. So another force match will eliminate a 2nd territory for me, leaving only 2 remaining. That's it for the turn. My turn. 4. Alright, so there's a 3rd Shattered Ground. It's a weather match. Again, for the purposes of Blitz, it says Earthquake, but it functions the same as Ideal Conditions or Tornado, any type of weather. Functions the same in Blitz. Either going +3 actions or usually go the extra turn. Three actions still to go for this turn. Nothing makes a match, but that Hydrosonic Blast, WMD. Oh, let's see. Well, kind of a weird spot here again. I don't think playing any of these as a one-off is good. It's going to work for me. I mean, 2 sets of 2 WMDs and building cards, but I don't like putting building cards out there. Those have a way of getting bounced. Pass up all 3 actions to end the turn. Extra turn. 4. I can play a building match. Go back for force or weather. Go back for force. I've already got one of the DXCs. So I would be able to play one this turn. Even if it got bounced, I would still have 3 additional in hand. So we'll do it that way. Glassport Radar Facility. Savage Escalation Building. Building card, if your arsenal is getting milled, attacked by intel, sometimes you might want to return 6 to your arsenal. Usually they'll be returning 3 to your hand. I'll take all 3 of the DXCs. I have a wide open war zone, 1 action to go for the turn. So I'll just play the 1. Even if it gets eliminated or gets bounced, I should say for my war zone, I still have 3 more to use, so it's not that big of a risk. That's it for the turn. As it is, it would be odd to have an intel match used to bounce 1 card and 1 card only from a war zone. I have 2 territories remaining. Rexy has 3, and it's Rexy's turn. There's the link to Bluemint, BLUMINT.com. They're going to have a Warsaken Blitz tournament tomorrow. Starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0000 UTC. If you're new to Warsaken, you're watching my streams, seeing this looks like a pretty good game, Lou. How do you play? How do I learn more? It's really easy. Go to the Warsaken Discord. There's some great people there. It's a special community. I'm taking on Rexy. It's roll of 2. There's a second intel. That's it for the turn. My turn. 3. Okay, I can play an additional 2 DXCs that will eliminate a second territory for my opponent. I'll have 1 action to go after that, which I may or may not use. We'll see. DXC, force.
Select target.
A force match allows me to eliminate a second territory here for my opponent, leaving only 2 remaining. I have 1 action to go for the turn, but... So I wouldn't want to put a geomagnetic out there since the other 3 are in my discard pile. So I'll play a tropical cyclone weather card. And that will end my turn. I'm a little more open-minded to taking chances like that later in a match as opposed to early. Like a one-off with weather. Roll a 6 here for Rexy. $19 cards and 6 actions. If Rexy has a WMD match, I could be in serious trouble. Rexy has a WMD match. It's going to give me a compromised leader.
Compromised.
A force match would beat me. Rexy has 16 cards and 3 actions. So second ideal conditions, weather card, that's it for the turn. But I was not expecting to necessarily be getting another roll here when that WMD dropped. But that's what I have. My turn. 4. All right. Got some gold up in here. But the more important part is having the WMD. This will give my opponent a compromised leader. Now, unfortunately for me, I don't have the turns or even the cards in hand to get a force match. But I go ahead and play the Tactical Nuke. That's a WMD match, which will eliminate my opponent's final 2 territories. Carlos CGTV, hello. Greetings and welcome.
Compromised.
So both Rexinator and I have a compromised leader. The next one of us to make a force match will get the win. I only have 1 action to go for the turn. I'll play a second Tropical Cyclone weather. And that's it for my turn. Rexy just needs a force match to beat me. It's a roll of 1. There could be a third ideal conditions to get an extra turn with weather. It could be a third lockdown K1 for the win. There's also the possibility of an intel match, although I'm not sure what the approach would be with that. No play. If I can get a force match here, I can get the win. 2. Well, I'm not going to have a force match here, am I? Let's see. Check out the Suit X if I want to put some intel out there. F-12X, but the 2 I want to put out there are the 2 that maybe the actually let's go ahead and put the Sergeant out there. I'll put the other one out first so I can put the gold one on top. Problem is it's only 2, and that ends my turn. Rexy's probably not going to roll a 1 again. It's a 3. So 19 cards. Rexy just needs 1 force match to beat me. There it is. Force match for the win. All right, good game. Rexinator victorious.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Tech. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. All right, so the only pair that I have are building cards. So that's not going to cut it. So I'll use a mulligan. It'll reshuffle my arsenal, my deck of 60, and then deal me 8 additional cards. Or 8 new cards. No guarantee you're not going to get the same ones back. So this is pretty rough as far as nothing matching at all. So I'm going to use the dreaded second mulligan. I don't like to use it, but sometimes you have to. So I'll take a second mulligan. I'm stuck with whatever they give me, and my opponent gets an extra card. The way it works. Luckily for me, I get to go first. That's a random thing. And see, this second mulligan wasn't exactly a bumper crop of matching cards. And that second mulligan will not necessarily be the answer to your problems, but sometimes answers have a way of dropping in. So I rolled a 6 to start things off. This is the code incoming game mat that I'm using with this deck today, thanks to Biscuit, who gave me this game mat. 6 actions here, nothing that makes a match, but well, I can put some force out there. I'm really not that keen about it, but I'll go ahead and put a pair of force cards here with Specialist Chloe Moore. Let's send the Scout. 3 spots open in my war zone. 4 actions to go for the turn. Normally, I don't like to be this aggressive with force early, but I will here. ZS Wolf. 2 sets of 2. I'll pass it the last 2 actions. I'll keep those last 2 spots in my war zone open, and I'll end the turn. Taking on Tech. Remember, later in this hour, I'll be giving away another Warsaken wheel spin. Your chance to win's coming up. Roll of 1 for Tech. Of course, Tech with 10 cards, not 9, like you normally would be if you rolled a 1 on your first roll. Because of the fact that I had that second mulligan that I used. Thus, Tech had the extra card. But it's only 1 action at most here, so... limited options no matter any way you slice it. Weather card. My turn. 1. Well, speaking of limited options, I'm going to pass up that action in the turn. Tech with a roll of 5. Using the Lady Arin Diaz leader card here. And the morale for your leader, like here, says 20. You'll notice my shield is a 20. It's the reflection on the morale. There are some territories that can adjust that depending on what you use, but for the most part with Blitz, your leader card number will reflect what's on your morale. Speaking of morale, 2 sets of 2 morale. Let's go with a pair of weather cards out there for Tech. My turn. 6. If your morale hits 0, you get a compromised leader. So I'll have a force match and a weather match. We'll play Specialist Chloe Moore.
Select target.
This force match will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. I have 5 actions to go for the turn. I have a weather match here. Violent Tornado. Take the extra turn. We'll get to that in a moment. 3 spots open by war zone. 2 actions to go for the turn. Put some weather out there. Blinding Sandstorm. Extra turn. 3. Play the weather. Cloud cover. This will give me another extra turn. Four. That's a bit of an unusual situation here. I've got this force in numbers, but is it worth waiting for a WMD? I'll play this third ZS Wolf. That's worthwhile.
Select target.
There's a force match. This will eliminate a 2nd territory, leaving only 2 remaining for tech. Three actions to go for the turn. Play a force here. I mean, it's risky, though, because if I do that... Actually, maybe it's not that risky, because if I get a WMD match, great. If not, then I'm still in position here to do some pretty strong things. Roman's Prototype. Let's do it.
Select target.
This will take my opponent down to 1 territory remaining. That's it for my turn. Some of that, as far as the risk goes, it's not like I have double of either Capture Leader or White Phosphorus Bomb. And I need 3 of them to have a match. You can only wait so long in this game. Roll of 2 for tech. No play. A morale match would take 6 points off of my total morale points, so there's a consideration with that. Okay, I can give my opponent a compromised leader. I won't be able to do that and play the building cards this turn, but that's okay. Czar Cyrus.
Select target.
This force match will give my opponent a compromised leader.
Compromised.
2 actions to go for the turn. There'd be risk in putting those out there. I think let's go weather. Geomagnetic disturbance. 2 sets of 2 weather. That ends the turn. Roll a 6 for tech. Thinking finally. 17 cards and 6 actions. There's a morale match. That's going to knock 6 points off of my morale points from 20 down to 14. The 3 ways you can have a compromised leader in this game. All of your territories being eliminated, your morale hitting 0, or your arsenal having 0 cards. Weather match, extra turn for tech. Pair of force cards. Roll of 1 for the extra turn. There's a force match. It's going to eliminate one of my 4 territories. Will also have an impact on my morale, depending on which territory is taken out. The one with the -4 morale there was the one tech wisely chose. My turn. 1. Alright, it's pretty brutal. Play Abdul Hafiz. Force card. That ends the turn. Abdul is in both Set 1, Genesis of Conflict, and Set 2, Savage Escalation. It's like the H5 dropship, the resource silo. There are a few cards that are in both sets, and you can mix and match as far as the sets go, as long as the title is the same. That's the important part. Roll of 2 and a pair of morale cards for tech. I just need to get a force match to win. Let's see. What do we have? 2. How long do you wait? Let's go with we'll do it now. Weather mines, 2 of them. That's it for the turn. Six. I'm down to 10 morale. I believe all my remaining territories here are -3. There's a morale match. I'm down to 4. But this matters because if I had one that was -4, one more force match could give me a compromise later. Instead, another force match would leave me with just 1 morale left. Never mind that.
Leader compromised.
There's another morale match. If Tech can get a force match, it would be the win. 2, but only 2. Agent Nika Devon. Tech with a huge rally, but it's my turn. 4. All right, I should be able to get the win here. I'll play the Blinding Sandstorm to get the +3. No +3 actions. And I really need just 4, but better safe than sorry on the math. Underwater Mines. I just need to get a force match. We'll bring back Specialist Chloe Moore. 5 actions to go. Specialist Chloe Moore for the win.
Select target.
That was a really good game.
Leader eliminated. Victory.
All right, good game, Tech. It's quite the battle.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Kron. Think about how that first game started for me, where nothing matched all the way to the double mulligan. And then here, 3 sets of 2, keep. This is the Dusk Magma game mat that I'm using today. Taking on Kron, who gets to go first, rolls a 5. So after this match, we'll be going back to the randomizer. I'll be looking for another opponent. Somebody I haven't faced yet today in Warsaken Blitz to play against. Of course, into the Warsaken Wheel Spin giveaway coming up in our next hour. Pair of weather cards for Kron with 3 actions to go for the turn. Intel. So 1 Intel card beside a pair of weather cards. That's it for the turn. My turn. 2. All right, since nothing, even if something were a match, I wouldn't have enough actions to use it. So this works. Freezing Rainstorm on fire. I'll play a pair of weather cards here, and that will end my turn. Roll of 3 for Kron. So my next Warsaken Blitz broadcast will be the tournament tomorrow, just before 8 p.m. Eastern, 0000 UTC. BLUMINT.com is the website for Blue Mint. Free to enter, free to play. 1 action for the turn. Play an Intel card, playing a device. And that will end my turn. So for Kron, it's a pair of weather cards. Intel, a pair of force cards, roll a 4. So I'll pull back on the Intel. 3 actions to go for the turn. And that's it for the turn. Interesting. My turn. 5. Wonder if that was like an Intel red herring. Try and coax your opponent to thinking you have Intel. Or I could be just entirely reading the situation wrong. The human element adds an extra twist that helps keep this game interesting. I've played how many hundreds by now of games of Warsaken Blitz? You'd think I'd be at least a little bit sick of it by now, but I'm not. It's so much fun, and there's always new cards that are potentially be added to the mix. Agent Zera on fire.
Select target.
It's a force match that will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Alright, so I have 2 actions to go for the turn. I can play a second planted device. So I've got a pair of weather cards, pair of intels. 1 action for the turn. And I'm not going to use it, even though I could. I want to keep that 3rd spot open. Maybe next round I'll feel differently. But for this one, end turn. It's a roll of 3 for Kron. Now it's 19 cards. Force. Complete with a blood foil to top it off. A 1-1, no less. That Goliath 65. So that force match eliminates one of my 4 territories. We're both down to 3. It's my turn. 3. Alright, nothing makes a match. I can put force out there. I don't know. I know there's at least 1 intel card up there. I think I'm going to stay with what I have here. Pass it. Or will I? Yes, I will. Pass up all 3 actions in the turn. Roll of 1. Taking on Kron here in Warsaken Blitz. After this match, we'll be going back to the randomizer. I'll be looking for another opponent I haven't faced yet today in Warsaken Blitz. No play for Kron. My turn. 4. I can use a building match here to go back for force. It's a consideration. Underwater mines on fire. Turning 3 cards to my hand. Only 3 that are in there. Agent Zera. Now, with this last action, I can't just put one of those Agent Zeras right back out there. If I had a 4th one, that would be different, but I don't. So instead, I'm going to play nothing here. Pass up the last action in the turn. Otherwise, that would make for a very clear target. Roll of 5. If you're going to bring back something you've already played from your discard pile, don't put it back out there in piecemeal form. Give your opponent a crack at it. Unless you better be really sure they don't have any intel. And even then, how do you really know for sure? Building cards. Going back for the Goliath. That's it for the turn. You notice that Goliath didn't get thrown back out there for the same reason I didn't play Agent Zera. Both knowing the other could potentially use intel. Ruin the plans. 3. Well, I do have an option with building cards. We would only use the only thing that's in my discard pile right now are building cards, so that would be a poor choice. Instead, Agent Zera on fire again.
Select target.
This will eliminate a 2nd territory for my opponent, leaving only 2 remaining. That's it for the turn. Taking on Kron, rolls a 3. There's a weather match, so that'll mean an extra turn for Kron. 1. But if there's a 3rd tsunami up there, that can mean yet another extra turn. 23 cards, no play. My turn. That's a lot of cards up there. 5. I'm just not catching any WMDs today. All right, DX8. 23 cards. I can't be sit back waiting.
Select target.
At some point, you gotta give it a try. So this will take my opponent down to 1 territory remaining. 2 actions to go for the turn. Got 2 spots open in my war zone. Let's do something a little sneaky here. Let's go dropship. Pair of H5 dropships out there. There's an intel attack. Well, it'd be something I only have 2 of as opposed to 3. And plus, I might draw a dropship in the next turn anyway. Roll a 5. 28 cards. Look at that, 28. Along with a pair of weather cards and a pair of force cards out in the war zone. There's a WMD match that's going to eliminate 2 of my 3 territories. I'm down to 1. Hello, Bob Prime. Hello. We'll be going back to the randomizer here in just a few moments after this match. Only open the randomizer right when it's ready. That way I make sure that next opponent's ready to go. Speaking of ready to go, there goes my last territory. I'm a compromised leader with that force match. Kron just needs 1 more force match to beat me. And there's the Goliath. I know you got 2 more up there at least. You probably have 3 more as you played the 1. Added bonus of the flex with the blood foil. And why not? Not just a blood foil, but a 1-1 blood foil. You've earned that right. But this might be closing time for me. I'm not gonna have enough actions here. I really needed something with weather or something different here. Well, it needed to be a 6, and that was gonna be a long shot anyway. I was saying that 1-of-1 blood foil. What card? Anyway, so unless my opponent rolls a 1 for the next turn, this is gonna be the end of the game for me here. I'm gonna lose, but at least give my opponent a compromise leader with a Z27 Tiger.
Select a target.
Hello, CMC Ski 123. Hello.
Compromised.
Oh my goodness, it's a roll of 1. Are you kidding me? Now this could be a 3rd tsunami. 24 cards up there. I've got a compromise leader. You probably wouldn't even... Well, there's the 2nd. Okay, there's the 2nd Goliath. So if for some reason I can't get a force match here, but I can get an intel, give that a bounce. But with 23 cards, it might not matter. Can I get a force match here for the win? Let's see. What do we have? 1. But it's a freezing rainstorm. I can play the freezing rainstorm to get the +3 actions. Play the A7 axe for the win. My goodness. I've had some great games here thus far, huh? Let's make sure I pick the right weather before I start congratulating myself. Okay. Easy does it on that. You only get the 1 here. Play. Freezing rainstorm. +3 actions. Spin that thing around to a 3. Thank you. A7 axe for the win.
Select a target. Leader eliminated.
All right. Good game, Kron.
Warsaken.
Here we go, taking on Bob Prime. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. I intend to go 3 hours and change with this, so with a 1 hour later start than usual due to circumstances today. It's an extra hour later, so some of the people that get in toward the end that don't get as many chances at it may have a better shot today. Also a preview for people that are outside the U.S. or otherwise not handling or having to deal with daylight saving time. Because that's going to be a change. Now that I have, 1800 UTC glued to my mind, I had to adjust it for a few months. Anyway, 2 sets of 2 weather, keep. This is the Blood Fungus game mat that I'm using with this particular deck today. You notice how I don't have to switch it out between matches. You can set it up ahead of time. So I've done here. And that includes having like the red card backs or the white logo, so it seems like really match. Try and show off a variety of things when possible. A pair of intel cards from Bob Prime. A pair of force cards. 2 sets of 2. My turn. 5. All right, so I'll have a weather match right away. That's nice. Blinding Sandstorm. Want the extra turn. 2 actions to go for this turn. More weather, ideal conditions. Extra turn. 2. All right, nothing to make a match, but I can play another pair of weather cards. Savage Escalation Weather, Shattered Ground, Earthquake. That's it for the turn. Roll 3 for Bob Prime. Now, while this is ideal conditions, and this one's shattered ground, you think that seems like opposites, but for the purposes of Blitz, weather cards, if you make a match, they serve the same function. But there's, speaking of serving a function, there's an intel match that could bounce 3 cards from my war zone, could force me to discard 3, or could mill 6 cards from my arsenal, my deck, to my discard pile. It'll be the weather targeted. So those cards bounced from my war zone to my discard pile. A pair of morale cards. Saw a couple of games ago against Tech how exciting certain games can be when morale comes into play. 1. Wow, tough timing as far as that drops in. Again, that's where well-timed intel from an opponent can really flummox you. Go and play the second one, though. I might have a building match later. I could potentially have the 4th one pop up. For my arsenal of 60, I highly recommend for anybody, you want to have 15 sets of 4. You're allowed to have 3 of a kind tops as far as if you want to do it that way, but that's not a smart approach. You want as many opportunities to match as possible. There's a morale match. That'll knock 6. My number will drop from 19 down to 13. Luckily for me, this is a morale buster sort of deck. I've got weather, this abandoned wasteland. It's -1 morale to start the match, but it's only -1 if it gets taken out, the same as the vast hinterland. This is actually a 21 morale leader I have here in Louisiana. But with Blitz, you have to have, at most you can have a 20 morale to start a match. So those each take away 1. I start with 19, but there's a lot less damage that can be done if those get taken out. The flip side, morale cards don't necessarily care about what you have with your territories, and they're just going after it with a lot of morale, if that makes any sense. My turn. Because morale doesn't get to come into play that much, so when it does, I like to point it out. Let's see. Put some force out there. G1 Foxbuster. Pair of weather cards, pair of force cards. 3 actions to go for the turn. I'll leave that 3rd spot open for now in my war zone. I'll pass it the last 3 actions in the turn. Taking on Bob Prime, who rolls the 3. There's a morale match. It's going to drop me from 13 down to 7. My morale hit 0. I'll have a compromised leader. There's an intel match. See why I was so cautious about putting something out in that 3rd spot in my war zone. And yet this could target my arsenal. Could mill 6 cards. Could force me to discard 3. It's going to force me to discard. And that is interesting. Okay. Not ideal, of course. Well. Shattered Ground's already there, so we'll send the second one over. 2 more I'll have to discard. Let's see. Do we have anything of here? Yes, aren't any actions in there at all. We'll send Intel, Rummage. And Jack Snash. The power of well-timed Intel can really upend an opponent. You see that 4th ideal conditions dropped in for me quite nicely. So we'll play this to get the extra turn. 5 actions to go for this turn. G1 Foxbuster. This will be a force match. This force match will eliminate one of my opponent's 4 territories. Boar Blue Natural Gas Site. But it is -6 morale. There's a 20 starting morale for my opponent anyway. So Bob Prime now to 14 morale, but that's the big concern is my morale, because I've got all my territories, but if my morale hits 0, I'll have a compromised leader. I've got an extra turn pending. Let's go ahead and play this Bella Ivanova on fire for another force match.
Select target.
Glazov Nuclear Facilities. Morale's at 8, for whatever that's worth. But it's not like there's a -8 morale up there. In other words, if those territories get taken out, the morale's not going to matter. The way I have my deck set up. Okay, wide open war zone. Play a T-15 Jameson Hauler. Extra turn. 1. Play another T-15 Jameson Hauler. That's it for my turn. Bob Prime with roll 4. Warsaken Blitz, NashvilleLou Liv. There's a morale match. I'm down to 1 morale. So a force, a WMD, or another morale match. Any of the above would give me a compromise leader. Weather card. That ends the turn. My turn. 5. All right, let's go fire in the fields. Weather. 2 spots open in my war zone. 3 actions for the turn. No intel. Clever hijack. I'll pass up that last action and I'll end the turn. So roll 3. Taking on Bob Prime. I'm down to just 1 morale left. Another morale match, a force match, a WMD match. Will give me a compromise later. There's the morale match.
Leader compromised.
So now it shifts to where Bob Prime just needs 1 force match to beat me. My turn. 3. I get fire in the fields. That'll give me an extra turn. Two actions to go for this turn. Let's play Hammerheads. Is that way, if I roll a 4 or higher and I get a WMD match, then I can get the win? Extra turn. 1. All right. I think I'm just going to keep what I have there. End the turn. Bob Prime just needs 1 force match to beat me. It's a roll of 5. Is there a third K1 velocity up there? That would do it. Any sort of force match would beat me. A weather match would mean an extra turn. Intel, pair of intels. Which makes me think there's not a force match up there. That's it for the turn. Here we go. My turn. 5. I give my opponent a compromised leader. The WMD never showed up for me. Ugh. A9 Hammerhead.
Select target.
Eliminate a third territory. Vernant Supply Factories. Eliminated. T-15 Jameson Hauler.
Select target.
We'll both have a compromise later now, but problem is, my turn's about to be over.
Compromised.
I've got 3 actions, but I don't have a force match to get the win. It's also risky if I put anything out there. As far as force goes, it could get targeted. So instead, let's go with Rummage. A couple of intel cards out there. I'll pass it the last action in the turn. And hope that somehow Bob Prime. There's a roll of 3 for Bob Prime saying, come on, that K1. I need you. Weather. Savage Escalation Monsoon Storm. But that's it for the turn. My goodness. Whichever one of us makes a force match next will get the win. 6. Will this do it? I'll be able to use building cards. Wow. Do this one the hard way. Play a trio of G-type missile silos. Building cards. Building card match. Return 3 to my hand. Bring back the G1 Foxbuster, because that's a fun one to use as a finisher. 3 actions. 3 G1 Foxbusters for the win.
Select target.
All right, good game, Bob Prime. All right. More than 14 and a half hours in. So we'll have one more Twitchy Tides game before we say goodbye and raid out. I'm not sure what I'll have streaming-wise later today. Busy schedule. Crunch time for the NFL draft. Crunch time for getting ready for Swanee versus Center and men's lacrosse. I'm calling that game on Saturday over on SwaneeTigers.com. Looking forward to it. But I might have something tomorrow. I don't want to run heads up with the Warsaken raid train on Friday. At some point I could work this format into that potentially, but this is not the week for that. Plus, they've already got their schedule filled up and ready to go. More information on that over in the Warsaken Discord. So 13 players are in for this next game. We've had 14 games and 14 different winners. Let's see if we'll go 15 for 15 or if we finally have a repeat here. Let's take the overlay down. If you want in, last chance. This train's been chugging a long time. About to arrive. Last stop, this town. 13 players are in, so as far as getting a top 10 finish goes, pretty decent odds. In addition, for the winner, the prize is an item from the NashvilleLou collection, plus a Warsaken foil prime card. If I win, that prize goes to second place. 13 players are in for this final Twitchy Tides game for this broadcast, which begins now. Good luck. Right away, Big Worm of the Hook. Finest HM is out. We're down to a dozen. Gonna play a banana spin real fast. Oh, banana got a bit away from me there. Wide radius. Depth Charge takes out Tree Frog, Nada, and Funko Lover. So for everybody else, a top 10 finish. And thus leaderboard points out of this game. A cannonball up top misses everybody. Now it's Debo the Shark. Debo working the low road. Debo takes out IMJR and Dave Ira. We're down to 8. Debo returns. Flantality is out. So is Jeff 0079. We're down to 6. It's Twitchy Tides here on NashvilleLou Liv. And it's Debo the Shark. Going right to left. Debo missed everybody. We began with 13. We're down to 5. Prince Paradox gets taken out by a depth charge. There goes Debo. I'm out. We're down to the final four. The Board JS, Cabinarna, Nashville, and Too High, the last four. Here comes Debo, going right to left. Debo takes out Too High. Debo takes out Cabinarna. And it's down to this, the final two. Nashville and DeBoer JS. According to these records, neither's won today. And that's it. Depth Charge takes out DeBoer JS. So congratulations, Nashville. And after all that, we have 15 games. And unless I'm missing something here, or miscounted earlier, or forgot something, but it looks like 15 different winners. That's what I call spreading the wealth. In addition, top 10 finishers, you got leaderboard points out of that. So for IMJR on up, a top 10 finish, all the way to number 1, and your winner, Nashja 9-0, victorious. All right, fun times as usual here. Streaming with you here on NashvilleLou Liv. I'm not sure if there's anything tomorrow. It'll probably be relatively brief, but who knows? Remember Saturday, Swanee Tigers versus Center Colonels. Should be a good time. Thanks to everybody for taking the time to watch, to listen, to lurk, to play. Had a blast as usual. Heading over to Sensei Bullrog now. That's going to do it for this broadcast. I'm your host, Lou Pickney. Thanks for watching. See you next time.